Yes, if you wouldn't mind just taking this moment to please turn off your cell phone. Thank you. Our featured speaker is the chairman of the East Baton Rouge Chamber of Commerce Infrastructure Committee. A lifelong Baton Rouge native, he's a 1966 graduate of Catholic High School, and he graduated from LSU with an architecture degree in 1972. His career in architecture spanned over 50 years and included supervisory architecture services for 10 major projects totaling over $200 million for the Superdome Commission in the late 90s. He's a member of the Construction Specifications Institute and is a certified construction specifier. He led the successful effort to keep an expanded Baton Rouge Zoo at Greenwood. He also initiated the $9.3 million I-10 terrace exit, which replaced the Washington exit. He is also, He is also a key player in the planning processes of making our city more driver-friendly and thoughtful in layout. Most recently, he was the industry coordinator to save our Baton Rouge drinking water. It's huge. Please welcome Coleman Brown.
Thank you very much. I have a little lost and found box.
Right there.
Okay. The cardboard box?
Right, I'm sorry.
Sorry. The snake. It's under snake, huh? Okay, good. So if we have somebody who is free of eating that could help distribute these,
I can do it.
that'd be good. Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right. And I've got another little handout if we have a second person or a third person. Actually, this is a pop quiz, so don't worry about the pop quiz because DOTD has yet to answer any of the questions on, well, some of the questions on the pop quiz.
I can pass that back.
Oh, thank you, Morgan. Okay. Yeah, is that going to be in y'all's way if you're still eating? I'm sorry. Yeah. Or you can just leave them sort of towards the center of the table. Okay, I'll try to get this little video going because everybody's still eating. While we're doing that, I'll ask a few questions. Everybody knows where Florida Boulevard is, right? Okay, how much land in our parish do you think percentage-wise is north of Florida Boulevard?
North of Florida?
Yeah.
60%?
You're close. Well, keep going.
70.
70. That's it.
Yeah!
What percentage of the people in our parish? I remember I'm in a parish chamber. I'm not the Baton Rouge. I used to be in the Baton Rouge area chamber for 20 some odd years. In fact, I was on the Transportation Issues Committee for 20 some odd years. No one ever really took any minutes on that committee, by the way, while I was there. So maybe they were just afraid of ink or something. But so, what percentage of our population is north of Florida Boulevard, do you think?
25. 10. 40. 35. 65. 65.
Nothing happening here.
65.
No, 49.5% of our population in this parish is north of Florida Boulevard. Gigantic shock. But I learned that when we were working on the zoo. And that was a major instrument in getting a lot of the people in the homeowner groups together to help us expand the zoo at Greenwood. So, how much has our parish, who knows what's happened in our parish population in the last 10 years?
It's moving south. It's all legal.
Adios. They're all, it's minus 1% this last 10 years. So what's happened with Zachary? Anybody know what's happened with Zachary in the last 10 years, 20 years? They've doubled the population. So what do? If you're in Zachary and you want to go visit your friends in Prairieville, what do? What do you take? You take interstate or do you take airline highway? What happens? Anybody take airline highway that lives in Zachary? Several people live in Zachary.
You have to go through Baker.
You don't take airline highway. So when was airline highway built? Anybody got an idea on that?
30s.
Somebody said 1927. I have a 1929 Franklin truck. Okay? It has a crank on it. Alright? Anybody got a crank on their car? No. So that's our little quiz deal. It's working out pretty good, y'all. We had one or two good answers. Huh? So, Airline Highway is 20 miles long. It is our longest road. Florida is second, of course, going to Denham Springs. So we've got a north-south access, and we've got an east-west deal. Everybody knows that because you've all been in Baton Rouge a long time, too, I can tell. So, the last work on Airline Highway was right after Katrina. I had been begging for 30 years. I've got a nice office building on Florida Boulevard that my dad built in the 60s. And so, you know, we like Florida, but like you say, everything's been moving south. So we're trying to take advantage of this 70% in our parish land area, which, by the way, that 70% north of Florida Boulevard is far better as far as drainage and available sites. So that's why it's a shocking statistic that you have almost half of the population north of Florida. They're just scattered out, lots of farms, lots of nice property. So you have to kind of understand that what's happening to where our people are when you start thinking, well, what do we need to do with our roads and how do we make everybody happy? And one thing I learned with the Construction Specification Institute early on, we had a group of about 30 people when I joined in the early 90s after my dad died. He was in the group and I really relied on him to do all the typing and all the clerical stuff. He was fabulous at that. But after he died in the early 90s, I went, oh Lord, what kind of group, what is this group, CSI? So I learned that you have, like y'all have learned, you have to take care of your members. And in our parish, you have to take care of every member in this parish. Every member has got to be taken care of. Otherwise, you will lose them. And so, hopefully, we can take these resources that we have, which really are limited. I know the Congress is passing these trillions of dollars of infrastructure bills and things like that, but we've all been through good times and bad times, and we know we need to do some wise things with our money, otherwise we're going to be messed up. And we have lots of problems. I'm sitting here looking at you and the stuff that we need to do in your area, and nothing gets done, you know. The same thing with our parish. By the way, I learned this, and y'all probably don't know this. Until about 2 years ago, and I want to credit Governor Edwards for doing this, he stopped the practice of taking construction dollars. For the previous 20 years, they were taking construction dollars and using them for salaries and benefits in DOTD and Department of Public Safety, you know, police, state troopers. They took $12 billion over that 20-year period. Y'all keep hearing about we got $12 billion shortfall. Well, that's the problem. That money went to salaries and benefits. It didn't go to concrete. So let's see if we can do this little video. Back in 1999, I was working for the Superdome. One of my deals. It was a lot of fun. And I was coming back from an architectural job in Acadiana, and I was stopped up on the interstate in the big, what I call the big curve. Y'all know when you're coming into town, it's a big long curve before you get to Washington. Everybody know where that is? I was stopped there for 20 minutes, sitting down there looking at the concrete. I'm going like, whoa, this thing is striped off to one lane. It was striped almost back up to the Nicholson exit. Y'all know where that is, huh? So it's onto the interstate. Sitting there looking for 20 minutes. I'm looking at this yellow line on the ground. And so I got back to my office and dictated a little one-paragraph letter to Dr. Mobasaki, who was the head of DOTD at the time. And I hand-delivered it to him. I didn't do any mail, I didn't do any attorneys or anything like that. I hand-delivered it to Dr. Mobasaki. I said, "Dear sir, you have 3 days to get rid of these yellow lines, striping this thing back off to 1 lane." And I said, "CC Governor Foster, hold 3 days. CC Linda Lightfoot." Everybody here know Linda Lightfoot? Hold 3 days, Linda Lightfoot. So 2 days later, those lines were sandblasted up. Yellow lines going straight through the knee. And somebody said, "Oh, it was just an accident." You know, Gordon Nelson, who was head of DOTD District 61, said, "Oh, it's just an accident, Coleman." I said, "Yeah, a lot of accidents occur." So anyhow, I had no idea it was going to take 20 some odd years for them to get around to Washington exit. So I was on this committee at the Baton Rouge Area Chamber of Commerce. And Morgan, you still busy eating? I'm sorry. So I was going to run this little thing for y'all. If I can get Morgan. She was trying to get me to help her with her presentation. I was going to try to get me to help me with mine. Thank you. I'm sorry. So.
Do you want me to play it right now?
Yeah, you know how to hit the words? Okay. Yeah, let's look at this little video, y'all. Do we have volume?
Restrictions from 3 lanes to 2, now for 4 minutes. How will 4 years work? Over 120,000 cars drive daily on this 5-mile stretch of I-10 in the heart of Baton Rouge. There are 7 clear space. Our 3-tier under $100 million plan widened 7 existing checkpoints.
We're trying to replay it. Sorry, folks. Yeah. What we need is some of you brilliant IT people to help us. You know, IT people, I'll tell you what, just names, things, you know, like, remember that song by Aurora Orbison, "You Got It"? Just let me know what you need, and you got it. We will take care of you some kind of way, because we are very technically challenged. I mean, I'm pretty old. So anyhow, Brenda, you think you got it? Okay, let's try it again. Roll it.
I-10 drivers can't take interstate lane restrictions from 3 lanes to 2, now for 4 minutes. How will 4 years work? Over 120,000 cars drive daily on this 5-mile stretch of I-10 in the heart of Baton Rouge. There are 7 choke points clear space. Our 3-year under $100 million plan widened 7 existing road ramps are more heavily used than the Acadian ramps. Leave them open. Finally, extend the Perkins entrance 1,500 feet and Acadian entrance 500 feet to achieve 4 lanes westbound. Move EBR Parish traffic forward with no pain and much to gain.
Okay. That makes it sound real simple. It really and truly, it is kind of simple. Do you remember when the terrace exit was getting built? Everybody drive through there when it was getting built? It happened 900 days ago now, not 800 days. I did this a month ago. Yeah. So it's 900 days that they've had the terrace exit open. $9 million is not much big money when you're talking about $2 billion now for this interstate. So the problem is DOTD, for some reason, and it's not the African American community that live over there because they're clients of mine. St. Francis Xavier, we designed it twice. Progressive Baptist Church, Pat LaDuff, y'all know Pat LaDuff. She's the litter queen in North Baton Rouge. She's a great person. She's with Progressive Baptist Church right there on the corner. They were right under where we were building the terrace exit. So I was talking to Pat every week while we were building terrace and said, don't worry about them using your parking lot and everything. So, and I've met more people in that neighborhood. They want to get rid of the Washington Street too. Now there's some people that just love coming down there and slamming into the I-10 cars coming from Lafayette. You know, they just love doing it. Tommy Straight's one of them. He's on Facebook. And I'm going like, Tommy, what are you doing? You know? Oh, I just love, that's my driveway. I like going down in through that. So we got a few people like Tommy we got to deal with. And I got to figure out what I can do to make him happy and let him have it say, you got it too, Tommy. You got it moment. So that land has been sitting there. I drove David Norwood about four years ago. I said, David, come look at this 60 feet or 40 feet of grass 1,500 feet long. I said, can we do this? And David, my good buddy, said, yeah, we can do it. So then I started getting involved and using my head more on this. And Winston Riddick and I came up with this terrace exit. And unbeknownst to us was another gentleman who works at LSU, and he was going through DOTD. And we went through the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and we didn't know about one another, but he was drawing up a lot of the same kind of things to help, pro bono to help things come out. His name is Hampton Peel, and he's a cartographer, and so he really understands. Now, so we've joined forces, and he's helping us. Now we're working on the east side of the lakes. A lot of what I had been doing was concentrating on the big problem. What I see is the chaos, and it's not something it's kind of gotten worse because of the growth in Zachary and the growth in the north part of our parish, and the absolute failure of DOTD to do anything except for 15 years ago with Airline Highway. We widened. There were so many babies being born. My wife volunteered at Women's Hospital. So many babies being born out more on the street than there were in the hospital. Y'all remember that? So that's why they had to move. And had they have widened Airline Highway 30 years ago like it was supposed to be, then we'd have never had this problem of them getting into the real estate business on Piku Lane. So, a lot of this stuff is crazy. I mean, and you wonder how, another reason we've gotten this way, it wasn't just so much the money going for the wrong purpose. It was, we were being run for 25 years by a nice guy, but he lived in Youngsville. Everybody know where Youngsville is? Well, that's in the Lafayette Planning District. We've got Hammond District, we got New Orleans, we got Alexandria, we got Baton Rouge. So our guy, one day I was in his office. Huey Dugard's a great guy. His daughter lived out where the Women's Hospital is now. And so Huey told me, he said, well, Coleman, how far is it from Cedar Crest to Piku? I said, well, Huey, I think it's around two miles or something like that. I said, well, Huey, you're supposed to know that. He's got these master's degree guys sitting there in his office, I said, well, I don't know, ask him, but anyhow, so, because he said, oh, I'm coming to town Sunday, which is off Airline Highway, and I need to know how to get there. So, folks, I'm giving you a little bit of a history lesson, and I think history is important. A lot of people don't want to talk about history, but we need to know how we got in this silly mess to get out of it. Now, DOTD's plan to get out of it goes like this. Y'all know where the cattle crossing is? Let me see if I can get my little pointer. Y'all remember 20 some odd years ago, the cows used to, when they would go right near this ramp here, I call it a cattle crossing because the cows used to fall over into the park. Y'all know where the park, the expressway park?
Falling Cow Park.
I'm trying to find, oh, there. Yeah. Can y'all see this thing? I'm sorry, I can move it up further if you want to. But over here, when we leave town, you've got 2 lanes that go to the bridge. When you want to go to Port Allen, you got those 2 big lanes going to the bridge. Well, guess what DOTD wants us to do? Anybody know?
Make it one thing.
Nobody knows? Woody Jenkins didn't know yesterday. They want to make it 1 lane going out, and they may want to make it 1 lane going in. So Boris Bart and Gordon McCurdy, they're going to get a nice little camper and put it over here. You know, of course it'll have a nice strong roof. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. 1 lane. And so when you're coming into town, and you know how you can go to Florida Boulevard, if you're coming from Port Allen, and you go to Florida Boulevard, you know, you go left, there's 3 lanes there, so you take the left lane. So, well, they're not going to mess with that one, but those other 2 lanes, they're going to be sending you over, they're going to cut the concrete, send you over that way, and then you're going to come in this way. All of this will be demolished. All in DOT's plan, all of this will be demolished. Instead of doing what we did with Terrace, which is simply adding on to it. Anybody been to Rome? Italy, I'm talking about. Everybody's been to Rome. That's pretty cool. Y'all ever see the Colosseum?
Oh, yeah.
What's it made out of? Concrete. Concrete. For 600 years, they lost the formula for concrete after they built the Colosseum. I guess they were got trying that moonshine business or something. I don't know what they did, but anyhow, they lost it. They were having a good time. But anyhow, it's made out of concrete. Now, it's not made out of reinforced concrete. Our interstate is made out of reinforced concrete. So DOTD, and I have a bunch of slides on this, and we're going to try to put them on a website if y'all really want to waste 20 years of your life like I've done on this thing. You know, I got all kinds of stuff you can do, but I think it's better to play tennis, go play golf, go fishing, and that's what we all need to be doing. We don't need to be doing this junk of trying to tell DOTD what to do. We want to all work together. We want to work with DOTD. I have a great relationship with Todd Donmeyer, the head of District 61. You know, if I see a hole in the thing, I send him a little note. He fixes it right away. I can't say enough great things about Todd Donmeyer. So, you know, Fred Rayford, everybody loves Fred Rayford. I love Fred. We had a 3-hour meeting with Fred on this deal. And Fred, y'all blow the whistle here if I'm too long. So we had a nice 3-hour meeting with Fred. The mayor was supposed to come, and Darrell Gissel was there. So we had Winston Reddick, myself, and Penny Landry. We're in this nice meeting with Fred. And then Fred says at the end of the meeting, he says, well, Coleman, he says, the only thing I really don't, I think you need to improve on is the Perkins entrance. Now, mind you, I'm thinking about a dozen things that Fred could hit me with. And the Perkins entrance could not be the most easy thing for me to fix. So that night I did another drawing for Fred, and I do it all the time. If we see something that we need a better cut through or a better turning radius or something like that, I'll email Fred. He takes care of it. Within a year or 2 years, he takes care of it. That nice little turn over on Westdale that y'all ever go through Westdale or Webb Park? We go around the oak tree. I sent that to Fred 6 or 7 years ago. It's turned out great. So I can't say enough great things about Fred. So anyhow, where was I, folks, on the?
Let's fix the interstate.
Okay. So, you know, just to wrap all this up.
You were saying DOTD is going to crush up. They're going to take down.
Oh man, are they going to kill us? They're going to kill us. Okay, so DOTD on their website, there's two. On their website, they say we're going to keep 200 columns. So, okay. So how many columns are there? It doesn't say on their website. So we went out there, intern architect in my office, we went out there and started counting them all. Okay, here's another question. Guess how many columns there are out there?
202.
960 columns. 4 feet. They're not as big as this table, but they're 4 feet in diameter, most of them. Some of them are, there's a few hollow ones, not many, but they're all solid concrete. So they're gonna keep 200, they got 960, so that means 760 of them are gonna be demolished.
What did we do to go to your place to make that happen?
Okay, Jay Darty. Y'all know Jay Darty? So we had our little committee, Cecil Kavanaugh, Woody Jenkins, and myself had gone to see Jay Darty about 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And Jay Darden had asked DOTD, Dr. Calavona, in our presence, he says to me, well, how long would it take to do the chamber's plan, our parish chamber plan? He said 3 years. And I said, we're in agreement, 3 years is what it takes to do our plan. And so then he turned to them and he said, well, y'all give me a report on what's gonna happen to Baton Rouge, about this. And so the other day, Jay Darden was at the round table, and I was sitting close to him at the end, and I had the opportunity to hit the last question. I said, Jay, did you ever get that report from DOTD on what's going to happen to Baton Rouge? No. So anyhow, in that meeting, Thomas Brown asked Jay, y'all know Thomas Brown? Yeah, good old Thomas, love Thomas. He says, Commissioner Darden, what can we do to stop this thing, or to who overlooks DOTD? What is the process? And Jay says, well, there's only one thing, and that is the Senate and House Transportation Committee is the only way. Okay. And then, so that was a big shock to me. But Jay knows his stuff, as y'all know. Jay is great. So we have asked them for a hearing on this matter. We sent them a formal request. DOTD sent back a 3-page letter, mostly saying Coleman doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, 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 blah. And that was fine with me. If anybody has any suggestions, anytime, I'll give you my card, y'all can email me, or that's what our little committee is all about, is taking this information from everybody and putting it together and then trying to solve a problem, So that's what we're doing right now. We're hoping he'll give us a hearing on it. Monday, we're gonna submit a response to them, Monday or Tuesday. Our letter will go back to, it's Chairman Mark Wright, I think.
Yeah, Mark Wright, yeah.
Should we send emails requesting a hearing?
Oh, Lord, yeah, y'all can do it, yeah, that'd be great.
Is it too late to stop this tragedy
No,
from
you don't see it
happening?
working. The $52 million project started out $25 million out at I-12 and 10, 12, when it comes together. And then it crept up to 52. Of course, Bow Brothers is a great contractor. I love Bow Brothers. They're wonderful people. They built a lot of the original interstate coming through town. And so, but they have 800 feet of right-of-way. Folks, we only have 150 feet. Most interstates are 200 feet. But down there by City Park Lake, I best I scale it off. I had to step it off because I don't want to get killed. But it looks like 150 feet. So you got 800 working out there. So I never really cared about that because I fished down in, I used to fish before I got involved in interstate. But, I fished down in Venice and everything, and I got a 22-foot heavy Mako boat. So when I'm coming from New Orleans, coming back into town, I'm gonna love this $52 million deal, but it's really not gonna help us with congestion too much at all. So I just let them, I said, okay, DOTD wants to spend some money, fine, let them spend it on me getting my boat back across, because I live by Webb Park, and I'm cutting across over there. My wife's all the time, she's going like, COVID, we're gonna get killed. So it is somewhat of a safety issue, much more than a congestion issue. So that answers that, I hope. What else? I can talk to y'all about it.
You tell us who to contact and we'll get a mass email, phone call, effort on it.
Well, here's another drill. Okay, I will.
Our Secretary of State just discovered something.
Florida Boulevard. Florida Boulevard
What'd you
is like,
discover?
there's like 30% less traffic.
Did you know this?
She's on
There's
one.
not a single Baton Rouge member on the Senate Transportation.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
on the Senate one, no.
Not a single Baton
That's
Rouge.
tragic.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's what we need, political advice, and y'all are doing it. That's good. Yeah. So, I want to tell y'all about Florida Boulevard. I want to tell you something else. That's okay, I'm sorry. So we were in that good meeting with Fred Rayford, you know, and talking about everything. And so Fred pointed out that part of his MOVE EBR program is extending South Choctaw. There's not a whole lot of cars on South Choctaw, but it's in the plan, and so they're gonna widen South Choctaw. It's gonna go to Central Thruway. And of course, Fred and I were talking about O'Neill Lane and that kind of thing. So I've been trying to figure out how to get these cars, trucks primarily, because we got Amazon, remember? I've been trying to figure out how, for years, I've been trying to figure out how to get those cars off at Range, you know, in Gem Springs, off at O'Neill a little bit, and let them get on to underutilized Florida Boulevard, because Florida, we could have continuous flow interchanges. There's only half a continuous flow interchange out at Sherwood and, Sherwood and Allen, you know, Seagan. That's only half. So it'll take about $9 million more to move the Jack in the Box back and get us a full continuous flow interchange. But ABMB, which is now Stantec, they did a great job figuring that thing out. I had Mike Bruce as a speaker years ago, and it's a fabulous invention that they have. It's very economical. It's just like traffic goes and comes much faster than it used to be. So we can have that kind of thing on Florida Boulevard, where we can get those trucks off of the interstate, have them come down Florida, have a little bit more restricted access, not so many cut-across deals on Florida. You know how that goes. But we can get those people on O'Neill, improve the light situation on O'Neill, get them up to Florida, get them up over the old bridge, widen the airline highway. Here's another disaster about the MOVE EBR program. Go onto their website. Fred says it'll start in 2024. The website still says 2025. Start construction. It was my understanding that they could have moved a lot farther and faster on the airline highway, except airline highway is a state road. Fred's spending city money on a federal and state road, $100 million. Fred wants to put an overpass over the South Choctaw Railroad deal there, and so does the Civic Association, Federation of Civic Associations wants to put an overpass. I forgot it out of the list when I gave it to the mayor of the projects that we had to do in the parish, and that's a real screw up. Y'all can blame all of that on me, because Woody Jenkins called me one night at 8 o'clock. He said, Coleman, I need a list of all the problems in the parish. I said, what? He said, about 10 o'clock. Tonight. I said, tonight, huh? Oh, yeah, sure. And so I called Woody at 10. I said, Woody, I'm not going to finish this thing till 2 in the morning. And I didn't finish it till 2 in the morning. But the problem is the mayor threw all of that junk into the billion-dollar MOVE EBR program. So here's a federal road. We need y'all's help in the worst way, y'all, because nobody's been coordinating all this stuff. It just gets thrown in a hat. They go sell a bond, and nothing gets coordinated with the state and the city. We are so far behind. That's why Shreveport and Alexandria and Lake Charles and everybody does so much better than we do in Baton Rouge, because they get together, they hash it out much better than we do. And obviously they don't have somebody from Youngsville running their deal for years. So anyhow, thank y'all.
Questions? If anybody has a question,
Questions for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
if he doesn't mind.
Sure.
Well, I have a question. So who would be the best source for us to go directly to request the hearing?
Mark Wright. I
Is
think.
that the first thing that needs to happen?
Yeah, or the governor. The governor.
Well,
Everything stops at the governor. Yeah, see,
Oh, yeah, volunteer me.
Yes, you can be our emissary, Kyle.
no,
I
here's
would
a-
say something. I just looked at the committee members for the Senate and the House, and most of them are reasonable people.
oh yeah.
And I think we can get this done. I mean,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Look at me.
Yeah, I'm
yes, we can get it, yes. I think we
I'm
can
gonna
get
stick
this
with
done.
election.
That's number one.
Yes, it is.
1999, remember when I wrote that letter, we had sap downs. You know, the homeowner group. I've gone to 2 times I was supposed to go speak to them. They canceled because they couldn't get anybody from the Baton Rouge area chamber to go give the opposing view. And that's not, so, no, I mean, that's the problem. It is the homeowner groups, the civic groups have all been just sleeping at the wheel. I can't get Dr. Gladney to call me back. Do y'all know Dr. Gladney? Okay, good. See, please tell him to call me back, and I won't talk as long as I can today.
Do it. Coleman, I know that this is not something that you were talking about today, but while we're on the subject of traffic and roads, we have $500 million. I understand the legislature does not want to devote to a down payment on a new bridge.
Right.
What's your opinion and how can we handle that?
Okay, the new bridge,
We've
of
got
course,
to get a bridge.
what they've done is they kind of brainwashed us, okay? I mean, you know, messing us over with the Washington thing. Y'all have no idea. It's gonna be like a big drain that you've got stopped up at your house. When they fix this Washington thing, and that's 900 days is just totally unforgivable. And the word that comes to my mind is mandamus. And I wish there was a way that I could connect mandamus to this thing, but you know, that will really make a huge difference. And then Airline Highway, if we could widen Airline Highway, it was supposed to be widened 30 years ago, you know? Only 15% of Airline Highway is 6 lane. It needs to be 6 lanes. It doesn't need to be Fred to pay for it. It needs to be John Bell to pay for it. And we should have, the reason it's that way is Ken Osterberger wanted to have an elevated thing. Well, that costs 10 to 15 times more than just simply widening it. So that was only $16 million. When we widened it in 2006, that counted $1.5 million worth of new lights and everything. So, you know, it went from an F to a B. So that's what the rest of it could all do. Instead of being an F now, which is what it is, FF, north of Florida Boulevard, and that's as bad as you can get on a road. So anyhow, our solution is pretty simple, y'all. What we want to do is we want to get these people off of I-12 onto Florida Boulevard. Do some of that Stantec design with some continuous flow interchanges. Get them to go over the old bridge. The old bridge was widened about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little longer ago than that. Widened a little bit. You know, it used to be terrible in terms of width, but it's okay. It's tolerable now going to Opelousas and everything. And then, yes, we are for a south loop. Yes, we are for a south loop. And there's really only 3 or 4 ways that it can cross. And this one may not be accurate, but most of the people on Facebook, and I'm so busy with Baton Rouge and trying to save Baton Rouge, this is going to be really serious. Kyle just hit the nail on the head here. These people y'all have no idea what the specifications are for sound pile driving and everything. You know, all hell's going to break loose when they start tearing down 1,000 columns and rebuilding those columns with the concrete going over the top. I mean, and plus 125,000 cars. Sean Wilson referred to this as the South's Big Dig because it's going to be horrible. The Big Dig was only 1.5 miles. This is 4 miles. The Big Dig had no cars on it. They built a tunnel right beside, they left the other one running. Well, we don't have 2 interstates going through Baton Rouge where we could build another one. We got to do it with this 125,000 cars, and they're not just cars. 30% of them are tankers. Some serious stuff, skull and crossbones on the back of almost every one of those things. You know, it's crazy coming through town. So what's going to happen with our little 2-lane? It's going to be horrible. So anyhow, so yeah, we're for the South Loop, and we're for doing that with Airline Highway. And
I have a
Yes, sir.
question with regards to the Perkins Road area with all those businesses. So I grocery shop there, I eat at most of those restaurants, I get my hair cut there. What's gonna happen in that section? Are they also tearing down a portion of that to expand?
do I give you the impression that I don't care about Perkins Road? Well, I care about everybody in this parish.
That's
I
right.
really do care about everybody in this parish. But I have $1.5 million worth of property 300 feet from that interstate at Perkins Road. And I've tried to put that on the back burner, but my wife keeps telling me, Coleman, no. You need to be thinking about what we're gonna do. What is our exit strategy? You know, I said, well, I'm so worried about thinking about all the people in Baton Rouge that I'm not worried about myself, you know, but I need to be to make her happy.
Shops are, and some of those little shops are gonna have to close during this.
Oh, yeah, oh,
The
yeah.
haircut
Oh,
place, the
sales,
nail
clothes
place.
shops, it's gonna be horrible.
Julios.
You know, it takes a lot
Look, I
of
can go
room.
get my hair cut somewhere else, but I can't get to Julio's.
No.
Go look at what it takes out there on I-10 and 12 now. They've got about, what, 4 or 5 nice cranes out there now. It takes a boatload of room to lift that concrete, and that's what they want to do, by the way, not steel. Sean Wilson, the other day at the press club, I was a member of the press club, he said, oh, we're so excited because we've been using concrete. Well, that's cute, but, you know, my experience in the Superdome, we had some architects and engineers that wanted to do gigantic concrete beams, you know, going across the stuff. And I kept telling them in the plan review, I said, no, man, those suckers heavy. So yeah, you know, when they went to lift them up, there was a bunch of friggin' change orders that I didn't like. But anyhow, it was fun. Okay, I don't want to take y'all forever.
Any other questions?
Sure,
A
question.
little different question. Where does all this concrete go to that they're removing? And it's gonna be
Oh,
on
boy.
huge trucks that are gonna weigh more than I can fathom. And then where is it gonna go? Are they gonna take that across the bridges? Or where?
Great question. Okay, about 2 years ago, I was talking to this lady at Federal Highways on the phone because you can't get in there. Much easier to get into Fort Knox than to Federal Highway. So you're talking to her on the phone, I'm talking to her, and I was going like, where is this stuff gonna go, ma'am? It's your question. What are we gonna do for staging? You know, staging means
Yeah.
where do we put our stuff?
Yeah.
And she says, well, you can't use parks and you can't use schools. So what do we have available? Parks and schools, that's it, right?
Yeah.
We got Valley Park, can't use it. You got Westdale and you got Baton Rouge Center for Performing Arts or whatever. Can't use them, and you can't use the Expressway Park. So what are they gonna do? Where are they gonna put it?
I have an idea, but
So there's no answer? We don't know where they're
No
gonna
answer,
pull
no
it?
answer. I guess they'll be grinding it up. Well, what they did on 1012 is they set up a grinding machine on 1012.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
They do that in Europe.
Yeah, they grind
In
it up right
Germany,
there.
they grind it up and they reuse it on the project that they're taking it
It's
from.
dust.
It's really
Yeah.
intelligent.
So that's a good question. I had another question.
Mississippi could use it for filler.
Yeah.
Is there time?
2023, they already doing the wires, cable, fiber optic stuff. They're already doing that.
So is it possible to even change it?
Oh yeah, always possible to change it. Well, listen, I've talked to about 300 people besides y'all before I got here. The Kiwanis, the Lions Club, and the Round Table, and a few other groups, the Chamber of Commerce, about 300 people. I don't have anybody saying, Coleman, let's do DOTD's plan. Maybe she has. You want DOTD's plan?
No.
Okay.
Coordinating. Who should we contact to, you said there's a lack of coordination. What do you suggest?
Well, you know, Chairman Wright has all the trouble he could say grace over, but, you know, if you could send an email to Chairman Wright and say, hey, look, pay attention to the letter you're gonna get from the parish, Chamber of Commerce, or something like that, because we're not gonna get that out till Monday or so, Monday or Tuesday.
Do you have this
Coleman.
email to share with everybody?
I would say
Yes.
Chairman Wright, that's the guy.
Coleman,
I'm
if
sorry.
you would do this, if you would please send me how we should proceed to help on this, who to contact,
Yeah.
an email address, a phone number. I'll make sure everybody gets it. Terry can distribute it to all of us, okay?
I'll do it.
You send me that and we will do that. And do you have any other ideas on things we can do?
Well, there's, politically, you mean?
Yeah,
Do what
To stop the
Secretary,
tragedy.
do what Secretary said, and that is vote for the right people that's the number one thing. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. Okay. The newspaper, the Advocate, I love the Advocate. We get the Wall Street Journal and the Advocate and everything. I love the Advocate. Some of those writers are just some of the absolute best in the nation. You know, Andrea Gallo and all these other people. I've been doing this for this. My mom used to tell me to go play in the traffic. Well, hell, I've been doing that a long time. And so,
Literally.
anyhow, the Advocate has never called me for an interview. So that's why this thing is getting shoved under the rug. You know, South Downs is just AWOL. I don't understand it. They're the ones that are going to just get absolutely killed. Like Secretary said, you know, Perkins Road, that's South Downs. What are they going to do? When that bridge is gone, the bridge between Nairn, the Nairn Bridge, y'all know about that? Yeah. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I was trying to get to Venice to go fishing, and I live right there at Webb Park. I'm less than a mile away from the interstate. It took me an hour because there was a gas leak on College Drive at it was about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. A gas leak over there, so we had to go all the way down, over to Acadia, and then back to Nairn Drive to get across. Well, what's going to happen with the military, the hurricanes, the whatever happens? You trying to get a hospital if y'all have a heart attack, because you'd never have it with this great food here at Drusilla. But what happens if you or your loved one has a heart attack and you're trying to get to the hospital and there's no bridge? DOTD says they're going to get rid of that bridge over the summer. They're going to replace it over the summer, depending on the rain. Now, what can we depend on in the summer? Is rain. So, anyhow.
And mosquitoes.
Well, we thank you so much for coming. I think you have sufficiently frightened us all into action. And that's what we need, y'all, is action. We really, really do. And you're going to lead us and guide us with that, and we'll follow your lead. Okay?
Appreciate your help.
I
Fun
mean
coming
it.
here.
We
Thank
will.
y'all.
We
Bye-bye.
will. And